Here's a question where we'll encounter two different ways that you can approach a rate question. So the first way is going to be the standard distance, rate, time way to approach any sort of rate question that I've talked about in plenty of guides. The second way would be just a simple scaling factor, which is something that we can do in really just a matter of seconds, and you probably wouldn't even have to write anything down. That's appropriate sometimes when rate questions scale easily, but in a case like this, I'll definitely show you both ways because the distance, rate, time way will certainly always work in every circumstance, and so it's really good to have that under your belt. So let's start. Two machines, Y and Z, work at constant rates producing identical items. Machine Y produces 3 items in the same amount of time in which machine Z produces 2 items. If machine Y takes 9 minutes to produce a batch of items, how many minutes does it take machine Z to produce the same number of items? Okay, so what we get there is rate of Y, and you can say that that is going to be 3 items in T hours. And that's going to be the same amount of time for Y and Z, okay? So Z is going to be 2 items in T hours. And we're given time in minutes, so I'll say T minutes there. And then Z, we've got 2 items in T minutes. So notice that we're told it takes Y 9 minutes to produce a batch of items. So what we can do there is we can just say that a batch, whatever that is going to be X items. And that will be produced at 3 over T items per minute times 9 minutes. And this, of course, is the rate for Y. So we'll just say for Y we have this, and for Z we have this, okay? And then this is going to produce X items in 2 over T items per minute time. And then what we don't know is the time that it's going to take Z to produce the same number of items. That's T sub 2, we'll call it minutes. So what we can do here is we can basically combine these equations. And of course, when we do that, we're going to eliminate the X. Now the question is if we're going to be able to eliminate the T, but I reckon we will be able to. Because look, we have a T on the bottom and a T on the bottom here. So I would feel free to cancel that right now. We don't have to. If it makes it clearer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that's 27 over T, and that's 2T2 over T. And then we can flip that up here and say 27T equals 2T2 times T. Knock that out. And then T2, the thing we're solving for, is 27 over 2, or 13.5. And of course that unit will be in minutes. Now, I've given that to you first because I think that it's good to be able to solve any sort of rates question using the standard distance equals rate times time equation. Now let's take a look at the quick way to solve this question. We know that the rate for Y is going to be 3 items in the same amount of time. So we'll start in a similar way. We know that the rate for Y is 3 items in T minutes. We know that the rate for Z is going to be 2 items in T minutes. So basically what that's telling us is that the rate for Y is faster than the rate for Z by a proportion of 3 to 2. So what that means, if Y is faster than Z by a proportion of 3 to 2, so if Y is greater than Z by a proportion of 3 to 2, then what we'll find is actually that Y takes 2/3 the time that Z takes. So basically what that means is that if Y takes 9 minutes, that would imply that Z is going to be 3/2 of 9 minutes. So that means that Z is going to have to take longer, of course, and it will be longer in that proportion because, of course, the time is based on the speed. So 3/2 of 9 is 13.5 minutes. And that, if you can see the proportion and you see that it's going to have to be longer by that factor of 3 to 2, then you'll be able to answer this question with very little problem. If you'd like to see more discussion about rates questions like this, then I would recommend you click in the top right-hand corner of the screen and you'll be able to get our free 50-page rates guide that goes through the examples of hopefully most of the types of rate questions that you're likely to see. It's 50 pages, there are loads of examples, it's free. There's no reason why not. So click on that link and we'll get you that rates guide. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.